Scientists just found a spoonful of plastic inside the human brain, not a metaphor. Approximately 7 to 10 grams of actual plastic particles, sitting in your skull right now. The amount has increased 50% in just 8 years. This is what they found, how it got there, and what it might be doing to you. Chapter 1. The Discovery. In December 2024, a neuropathologist named Elaine Bearer was studying brain tissue from deceased dementia patients when she noticed something strange under the microscope. "I'm seeing these things that I can't figure out what they are," she said. "Strange brown lumpy things." She wasn't looking at cells, she wasn't looking at proteins, she was looking at plastic, billions of tiny plastic fragments lodged inside human brain tissue. Her discovery led to a collaboration with toxicologist Matthew Campen at the University of New Mexico, and in February 2025, they published their findings in Nature Medicine. The study confirmed what Bearer had seen. Microplastics and nanoplastics have infiltrated the human brain at concentrations nobody expected. And the team's previous work, they had already found the same plastic particles in human placentas and testes. The brain was just the latest organ to join the list. Chapter 2. The Quantity. So how much plastic are we actually talking about? The median concentration in brain samples from 2024 was about 5,000 micrograms of plastic per gram of brain tissue. That works out to roughly 0.5% of your brain's weight being plastic. Total amount? About 7 to 10 grams per brain. For reference, a plastic spoon weighs about 5 grams. So we're talking a heaping spoonful of plastic particles distributed throughout your brain tissue. Most of these particles are nanoscale, between 100 and 200 nanometers. That's roughly the size of 2 COVID viruses sitting side by side. Under the microscope, they appear as aged, shard-like fragments, billions of them. And here's what makes this worse. Your brain actually has more plastic than your liver or kidneys, about 10 times more. Matthew Campen put it simply, "I have yet to encounter a single human being who says there's a bunch of plastic in my brain and I'm totally cool with that." Chapter 3. The Timeline. In 2016, scientists measured the plastic in human brains. In 2024, they measured again. The result? 50% more in just 8 years. The accumulation rate roughly doubles every decade, which means if the trend continues, the concentration could quadruple in the next 30 years. Campen said he's not comfortable waiting around to find out what happens. The study compared 28 brain samples from 2016 with 24 samples from 2024. They also examined older samples from the East Coast dating back to 1997, and those had even lower levels. The only factor that mattered was the year of death. Age didn't matter, sex didn't matter, race, ethnicity, cause of death, none of it. The only thing that predicted how much plastic was in your brain was when you died. More recent, more plastic. And the rate of increase matches the exponential rise in global plastic waste. "This really changes the landscape," Campen said. "It makes it so much more personal." Chapter 4. The Dementia Connection. Here's where it gets darker. People who died with dementia had up to 10 times more plastic in their brains than people without it. The shards were concentrated in the walls of arteries and veins, and in the brain's immune cells. Now, to be clear, this doesn't prove causation. Scientists don't know yet if the plastic caused the dementia or if the dementia trapped the plastic. Dementia impairs the brain's clearance mechanisms, so it's possible the plastic just accumulated faster in brains that couldn't clean themselves out. But there are theories. Plastics might obstruct blood flow in tiny capillaries. They might interfere with connections between nerve fibers. They could act as seeds for protein aggregation, the clumping of amyloid proteins that's a hallmark of Alzheimer's. Lab studies have shown that nanoplastics accelerate the clumping of amyloid beta, the protein involved in Alzheimer's disease. And mice exposed to microplastics showed dementia-like behavior within just 3 weeks. The connection isn't proven yet, but it's not nothing. If you're finding this interesting, consider subscribing. I drop videos like this regularly. Anyway, back to it. Chapter 5. The Entry Routes. So how does plastic get into your brain in the first place? Mostly through food. And here's the uncomfortable part. Meat is one of the biggest culprits. The cycle works like this. Plastic-contaminated water irrigates fields. Crops absorb the plastic. Livestock eat the crops. Manure goes back on the fields. The cycle amplifies. Researchers have found high concentrations of plastic in grocery store meat. Seafood is even worse, especially shellfish. Filter feeders like shrimp accumulate about 1.2 microplastic particles per gram. Bottled water, about 240,000 particles per liter. That's not a typo. 240,000 particles in a single bottle of water. And inhalation is another route. Indoor air contains significant microplastics from synthetic carpets, clothing fibers, and household dust. But the real question is how these particles cross the blood-brain barrier, the security system that's supposed to protect your brain from exactly this kind of thing. Turns out, nanoplastics can breach it within 2 hours of ingestion. They're small enough, and their surface chemistry lets them slip through. One researcher put it this way: somehow, these nanoplastics hijack their way through the body and get to the brain. Chapter 6. The effects. Once plastic gets into your brain, what does it actually do? Scientists have identified at least 5 major harm pathways. 1. Inflammation. Microplastics trigger neuroinflammation and activate the brain's immune cells. 2. Oxidative stress. The particles cause reactive oxygen species production, damaging cells from the inside. 3. Barrier disruption. They compromise the blood-brain barrier, making it easier for more junk to get in. 4. Mitochondrial damage. They mess with your cell's power plants. 5. Direct neuron injury. They can damage nerve cells and alter behavior. Mouse studies showed cognitive changes within 3 weeks of exposure. Mice with a genetic predisposition to Alzheimer's showed even worse effects. And here's something else. A 2024 study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that patients with microplastics in their carotid artery plaques had a higher risk of heart attack, stroke, and death. The particles may cause blood clots by obstructing cells. Your brain receives 25 to 30% of your cardiac output. That's a lot of blood carrying a lot of plastic. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this, subscribing really helps out. Now, where were we? Chapter 7. Why the brain? Your brain is supposed to be the most protected organ in your body. So why does it have more plastic than your liver or kidneys? A few reasons. First, lipid content. Your brain has the second highest fat content of any organ, after adipose tissue. Plastics are lipophilic, meaning they're attracted to fat. They concentrate in myelin, the fatty insulating layer around your nerves. Second, blood flow. Your brain receives 25 to 30% of your cardiac output. More blood means more plastic delivery. Your liver and kidneys can filter things out. Your brain just accumulates. Third, particle size selection. The brain preferentially takes up the smallest particles, the nanoscale fragments that are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier. And fourth, the brain shows a higher proportion of polyethylene specifically, suggesting selective uptake of certain plastic types. Some researchers noted that particles were found in the brain that seemed too large to have crossed the barrier. Yet there they are, one ecotoxicologist said. The blood-brain barrier, it turns out, is not as protective as we'd like to think. Chapter 8. Prevention. So there's plastic in your brain. Can you get it out? Scientists are working on it. In May 2025, researchers published the first evidence that therapeutic apheresis, a blood filtration technique, might be able to remove microplastics from the body. The process draws blood, separates the plasma, filters it through a membrane, and returns it. In a study of 21 patients, they found 14 types of micro and nanoplastics in the filtered waste, including nylon and polyurethane fragments. But here's the catch. Sessions last 2 to 3 hours and cost $6,000 to $13,000 each, and larger trials are needed to confirm it actually works. For now, the best option is prevention. Switch from bottled water to filtered tap water. That alone can reduce your microplastic intake from 90,000 particles per year to 4,000. Use reverse osmosis filtration. If you can, it removes over 99% of microplastics. Avoid plastic cutting boards. Don't. Microwave food in plastic containers. Don't store food in plastic. Choose natural fiber clothing over synthetics. And advocate for policy change because individual action alone won't solve a problem this big. One epidemiologist put it well, nobody in 2025 is going to live without plastic. True, but you can live with a lot less of it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. See you.